You're paying into long-term disability at work every single month. You're assuming it'll replace your income if something happens. But here's what nobody tells you. Most policies only cover about 60% of your salary. They cap out at about $5,000 to $6,000 a month, no matter what you earn. And that payout is taxable if your employer pays the premiums. So if you're making $90,000 a year and think that you're covered, you might actually only be bringing home about $3,200 a month after taxes, while your mortgage, daycare, and bills, they all stay exactly the same. Now, a few common myths about group life insurance is thinking that your group life insurance is going to be enough. But most employer policies is about 1 to 2 times your salary. So if you make $80,000 a year, that's only $80,000 to $160,000 in coverage. You minus your mortgage, funeral costs, and debts, what's really left for your spouse and kids? Another common myth about group plans is thinking that your disability insurance replaces my income. But standard coverage is about 60 to 70% of your salary, and caps do exist. They're about $5,000 to $6,000 a month. And this is all totally taxable if your employer pays the benefits. So that's even less for you to take home. According to the 2024 Robert Walters Employee Benefit Report, almost 4/5, 77% of professionals are not using their workplace benefits. And about 70% of professionals are not happy with their current benefit plan. I worked with a client one time. We're going to call him Mike. He earned $95,000 a year, and he assumed that his group life insurance gave him solid coverage. When we looked into it, it was 1.5 times his salary, $142,500. After taxes, that's about $120,000. His mortgage was $380,000. He had 2 kids under the age of 8 and a spouse who worked part-time. That payout would only cover maybe 1/3 of the mortgage and leave his family scrambling. We added a $500,000 personal term policy for about $65 a month. Now his family is actually protected. Let's say you make $85,000 a year and your long-term disability coverage at work covers 60% of your income. That's $51,000 a year, or $4,250 a month before taxes. That sounds pretty decent, right? But if your employer pays the premium, then that benefit's taxable. So after taxes, you'd be taking home about $3,400 a month. Your mortgage is $2,200. Your daycare is about $1,400. So we're already $200 in the red before we even look at groceries, gas, or utilities. See how fast that group coverage really falls apart? Now, if you're worried, you don't have to be, because there's a few steps you can take right now. Step 1 would be find out exactly what you have. Request a benefit summary from HR. Look for things like coverage amounts, caps, definitions of disability, or any exclusions. Step 2 would be to calculate exactly what you need. For life insurance, it's 10 to 12 times your income, not 1 to 2. For disability coverage, we want enough to cover all your bills, not only 60%. Step 3 would be fill the gaps with things like personal term insurance, the reason being that it's cheap and portable. Another good way to fill a gap would be a personal disability insurance, because you can take that with you wherever you go, or even a critical illness coverage that pays you a lump sum if you get sick and can't claim on disability. So here's what it means for you. Those benefits that you signed up for on day 1 aren't a complete safety net. They're definitely a starting point. You've got things like a mortgage, kids who depend on you, and a plan that's basically, I think work has me covered, then you're one unexpected event away from a financial mess. The good news though, once you know where the gaps are, they're not hard to fill. And it's way cheaper than you think. If you're sitting there thinking, realizing that you had no idea what your actual coverage is, then you're exactly who I built my free clarity call for. It's 20 minutes, zero pressure, and we'll walk you through what you have versus what you actually need. I'll show you the gaps, I'll explain your options in plain English, and then you decide what makes sense for your family. There's a link in the description below to book a time that works for you and your schedule. I like to think of it as a financial checkup. Quick, clear, and way less stressful than finding out the hard way that you weren't actually covered. Let's make sure your family's protected the right way. Book your call, and I'll see you there.